Hello everyone, today I'm going to share a fascinating story about one of the most powerful and talked about leaders in the world, Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia. His life story reads like a movie filled with struggles, action, and unexpected triumphs. But this isn't just the story of a political leader. It's about how a little boy with big dreams grew up to become one of the most influential men in the world. So sit back, relax, and listen closely. Because not only will this story help improve your English, it might just inspire you to believe in yourself. Let's begin at the beginning. His childhood, where it all started. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin was born on October 7th, 1952, in a city called Leningrad, which is now known as St. Petersburg, Russia. He was the youngest of 3 children, but sadly his 2 older brothers passed away before he was born. This meant that Vladimir grew up as the only child of his parents, Maria Ivanovna Putina and Vladimir Spiridonovich Putin. The family lived in a very small apartment. It wasn't like the modern homes many of us know today, with private bedrooms and kitchens. They lived in what's called a communal flat, an old building where several families shared the same kitchen and bathroom. Imagine having to wait in line just to use the toilet, or cooking your meal while others are doing the same in a crowded kitchen. The smell of different foods would mix in the air, and there was no privacy. That was everyday life for young Vladimir. But his family didn't complain. This was normal for many people in Russia, especially after World War II. Leningrad had been heavily damaged during the war, and the people were still recovering. Life was tough, food was scarce, and opportunities were limited. Putin's father had been injured in the war, and his mother worked hard to care for the family. They were loving parents, but also strict. They taught young Vladimir the importance of hard work, discipline, and never giving up, values that would shape his future. As a child, Vladimir wasn't strong or big. In fact, he was quite small and skinny compared to other boys. Because of this, he was often picked on or bullied. But he didn't let that break him. Instead, he made a decision. He would become strong so no one could ever bully him again. At the age of 12, he started practicing judo and a traditional Russian martial art called sambo. He trained every single day. For him, it wasn't just about winning fights. It was about building confidence and learning self-control. Over time, he got so good at it that he earned a black belt in judo. Even today, he continues to practice and says that judo taught him how to stay calm and think clearly, even in difficult situations. While many kids dreamed of becoming doctors, engineers, or teachers, Vladimir had a different dream. He wanted to be a spy, yes, just like in the movies. He was fascinated by the mysterious world of the KGB, the Soviet Union's powerful intelligence agency. And that's where the story really begins. The KGB was one of the most powerful and secretive organizations in the world at the time, and young Vladimir Putin dreamed of joining it. But becoming a KGB officer wasn't easy. You had to be intelligent, disciplined, and highly educated. Putin understood this well, so he made it his mission to succeed. He wasn't a top student at first, but he worked hard to improve. Determined to stand out, he even began learning German, a skill that would prove useful later in his career. Life at home was far from easy. Growing up in a cramped communal apartment meant sharing a kitchen and bathroom with other families. Every morning, Putin's mother would wake up early to prepare breakfast. She often had to wait her turn to use the stove while others were cooking. Sometimes there were even arguments about whose turn it was. Meals were simple, often just bread with butter and a cup of tea. After school, Vladimir helped his mother with chores. His family didn't have much money, so luxuries were out of the question. But he wasn't interested in fancy clothes or expensive toys. His focus was on one thing: becoming a KGB officer. After finishing school, Putin was accepted into Leningrad State University, one of the most prestigious universities in the city. He chose to study law, a smart move since the KGB often recruited graduates with a legal background. At university, Putin kept to himself. He wasn't loud or especially popular, but his professors noticed how disciplined and intelligent he was. He stayed focused on his goals, and in 1975 his dream finally came true. He joined the KGB. For a boy who had grown up in poverty, this was a major achievement. Just imagine, wearing the uniform of one of the world's most powerful intelligence agencies. Putin started his career as a secret agent, working quietly behind the scenes to serve and protect his country. His first major assignment took him to East Germany during the Cold War, a time when the world was divided between the Soviet Union and the United States. In East Germany, he gathered intelligence, learned how the world outside the Soviet Union worked, and improved his German language skills. The job was intense and full of pressure, but Putin loved the challenge. He was learning lessons that would one day help him lead a nation. This was just the beginning of Vladimir Putin's extraordinary journey, from a small, shared apartment in Leningrad to the powerful halls of the KGB. His story was already showing how far determination, discipline, and hard work could take someone. Putin continued to rise within the KGB, but everything changed in 1989. The Berlin Wall fell, a powerful symbol that the world was shifting. Soon after, the Soviet Union began to collapse. People were growing frustrated with the government, and life in Russia became even more difficult. Putin saw that the world around him was changing fast. In 1990, he returned to his hometown, Leningrad, now called St. Petersburg. A year later, in 1991, he made a bold decision. He left the KGB. It was time for something new, something bigger. At first, Putin didn't step into a powerful political role. He started small, working at Leningrad State University, the same place he had studied years before. After finishing his studies, Putin returned to Leningrad State University, this time not as a student, but as a staff member. He worked as an assistant to one of his former professors, helping with administrative tasks. It wasn't a high-profile job, but it was a step forward. Then a new opportunity came along, one that would change his life. Anatoly Sobchak, the mayor of St. Petersburg. Petersburg was looking for someone reliable and capable to join his team. Putin fit the bill, and he got the job. This was his first real step into politics. Though he wasn't a politician yet, he adapted quickly. Working behind the scenes, Putin handled important city projects, took care of difficult tasks, and helped make sure the local government ran efficiently. People began to notice him, not because he was loud or attention-seeking, but because of the opposite. Putin was calm, quiet, and focused. He didn't say much, but when he spoke, people listened. He became known for getting things done and staying cool under pressure. One of his strongest traits was loyalty. He stood by Mayor Sobchak, even when political challenges arose. His loyalty earned him trust. People saw him as someone who wouldn't betray others just to get ahead. In 1996, Sobchak lost his position as mayor, which meant Putin's job ended too. Many thought his political career was over. But once again, Putin didn't give up. He moved to Moscow, the capital of Russia, to start a new chapter. In Moscow, he began working in the federal government. At first, the positions were small, background roles most people wouldn't notice. But Putin stood out for one simple reason. He did his job well. He kept calm under pressure, solved problems efficiently, and earned the respect of senior officials. Eventually, his reputation reached the highest office in the country, the office of President Boris Yeltsin. Yeltsin was searching for someone trustworthy and capable to help manage the challenges Russia was facing. He saw potential in Putin, someone who was serious, competent, and loyal. In 1999, something major happened. Yeltsin appointed Vladimir Putin as the Prime Minister of Russia, the second most powerful position in the country. At the time, Russia was in crisis. The economy was weak, corruption was everywhere, and the people were frustrated. But Putin didn't back down. He got to work immediately, introducing tough new policies to fight corruption and restore order in the government. Slowly but surely, the people began to believe in him. Then, on December 31st, 1999, the unexpected happened. President Yeltsin announced he was stepping down, and he named Vladimir Putin as his successor. It shocked many people. At the time, most Russians didn't know much about Putin, but Yeltsin trusted him to take the reins. And so, on January 1st, 2000, the first day of the new millennium, Vladimir Putin became the acting president of Russia. He wasted no time getting to work. Putin focused on stabilizing the economy, reducing crime, and strengthening the country. One of his earliest and biggest challenges was the situation in Chechnya, a region fighting for independence. Violent conflicts had been ongoing, and Putin responded firmly. He wanted to send a clear message that Russia would not be divided and that its strength would be restored. His decisive actions made him popular among many Russians who were tired of instability and uncertainty. Many people felt Russia was becoming weak and unstable, but they saw something different in Vladimir Putin, a leader who could bring back order, strength, and pride to their country. In March 2000, Russia held its presidential election. Putin won by a large margin, officially becoming the president of Russia. This marked the beginning of a new era. Putin was young, full of energy, and determined to make Russia strong again on the world stage. He introduced new policies to boost the economy, improve healthcare, and modernize the military. As Putin gained more power, his personal wealth also grew. Today, he is known for his luxurious lifestyle. Reports claim he owns private jets, yachts, luxury cars, and even a watch collection worth millions of dollars. However, Putin rarely speaks about his wealth. He keeps his personal life very private. Some people criticize this secrecy, while others respect his focus on work instead of showing off. In 1983, Putin married Lyudmila Shkrebneva. The couple had 2 daughters, Maria and Katerina, but they kept their family out of the public eye. Putin believed in protecting his children's privacy. In 2013, Putin and Lyudmila announced their divorce. They explained it was a mutual decision, saying they had simply grown apart over time. Since then, there have been rumors about Putin's love life, but he has never confirmed anything publicly. As a leader, Putin has faced his share of controversy. Some accuse him of being too strict or controlling, while others criticize his government for limiting free speech and political opposition. Despite the criticism, Putin has always stayed focused on his goals. He believes that being a strong leader sometimes means making tough and unpopular decisions. His mission has always been clear: to make Russia powerful and respected once again. Even after more than 2 decades in power, Putin remains deeply involved in every major decision. His story shows how far discipline, determination, and hard work can take a person. In the early 2000s, Russia was facing serious problems. The economy was collapsing. People were out of work, struggling to feed their families. Many factories had shut down. Roads and infrastructure were falling apart. Corruption was everywhere. Putin stepped in with firm action. He introduced strict policies to restore order. He focused on collecting unpaid taxes, reforming businesses, and attracting foreign investment. Little by little, Russia's economy began to recover. Under Putin's leadership, oil and gas became the backbone of the country's economy. These industries brought in massive income, and he used that money to rebuild the nation. Putin also believed that a strong country needed a strong military. Years of neglect had left Russia's armed forces in bad shape. Soldiers lacked training, and equipment was old and unreliable. To fix this, Putin began investing heavily in defense. He modernized the military with new technology, advanced weapons, and better training programs. Over time, Russia's army became one of the most powerful in the world. This was a major step in showing the world that Russia was returning to the global stage with strength and confidence. Vladimir Putin understood early on the importance of information. He recognized that controlling the media was a powerful way to shape public opinion and maintain stability. During his presidency, Putin moved to ensure that most of the major television networks in Russia were aligned with the government. This decision was controversial. Many saw it as a threat to free speech. But Putin defended it, saying that too much media freedom could lead to confusion and unrest. Whether people agreed with him or not, this strategy helped him consolidate his control over the country. When Putin took office, Russia was heavily influenced by a group of extremely wealthy businessmen known as oligarchs. These individuals had gained enormous power and fortune after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Many used their wealth to influence politics and government decisions. Putin didn't approve of this. He believed that no one, no matter how rich, should be more powerful than the state. So, he took action. He began targeting the oligarchs, pressuring some to leave the country and forcing others to give up control of their businesses. It was a risky move considering how powerful these men were, but Putin's determination paid off. He sent a clear message. In his Russia, no one would be above the law. As president, Putin also worked hard to rebuild Russia's relationships with other nations. He traveled widely, meeting with leaders from the United States, China, Europe, and the Middle East. He had a unique diplomatic style, direct, confident, and always composed. His background in the KGB gave him an edge. He had a deep understanding of people and how to handle complex situations. He knew when to extend friendship and when to assert power, making him both respected and feared on the international stage. By the mid-2000s, Putin had become one of the most powerful leaders in the world. With power came luxury. He is believed to own several lavish properties, private jets, and even a super yacht. One of the most well-known estates linked to him is a massive mansion on the Black Sea, often referred to as Putin's Palace. He also has a known passion for luxury cars and high-end watches. His personal collection is said to be worth millions. Despite the attention surrounding his wealth, Putin remains extremely private about his personal life. He rarely discusses his family or relationships in public. He carefully protects his image, often appearing as the strong, fearless leader. Over the years, he has been photographed doing bold activities, riding a horse shirtless in Siberia, diving to explore shipwrecks, flying fighter jets, piloting helicopters, and practicing judo, a martial art he has mastered since childhood. These public images are no accident. They are designed to show the world that Putin is tough, active, and always ready to defend his country. One of his greatest strengths as a leader has been his ability to balance relationships with both allies and rivals. He has built strong partnerships with countries like China and India, while also standing firm against powerful nations like the United States. In 2014, Putin made one of his most controversial decisions: the annexation of Crimea, a region that was part of Ukraine. This move drew widespread criticism from the international community, but was seen by many Russians as a bold act of reclaiming lost power. The move shocked the world and led to severe international sanctions against Russia. But inside the country, many Russians supported Putin's decision. They viewed it as a bold action to defend Russia's interests and reclaim national pride. Leading a nation for so many years hasn't been easy for Putin. He has faced strong criticism for limiting freedom of speech and cracking down on protests. Many accuse him of being too authoritarian. But Putin argues that his leadership style is necessary to keep the country stable and secure. In his view, a strong leader must be willing to make difficult decisions, even if they're unpopular. While Putin is widely known for his strict, disciplined image, those close to him say there's another side to him, a softer, more personal one. He has a deep love for animals, especially dogs. Over the years, several world leaders have gifted him dogs, and he's often seen spending time with them at his residence. Putin also enjoys classical music and plays the piano. These small glimpses into his private life show that, despite his power and public persona, he still finds comfort in simple joys. His journey, from a cramped apartment in Leningrad to becoming Russia's president, is remarkable. Along the way, he's faced endless challenges, but always found ways to push through. His intelligence, determination, and ability to adapt have made him one of the most influential figures of the 21st century. As Putin continued to secure his place on the world stage, his ambitions grew. He didn't just want Russia to be strong. He wanted the world to recognize it as a major global power. But this next chapter in his story was not without its complications. It brought both big victories and major controversies, keeping Vladimir Putin constantly in the global spotlight. Putin is often described as one of the most strategic leaders in modern history. He doesn't make decisions lightly. Each move is part of a bigger, long-term plan. One of his key strategies has been forming alliances with countries that share similar goals. For example, Putin has developed a close partnership with China, focusing on economic cooperation. Together, the two nations have launched large-scale projects like new trade routes and energy pipelines. These efforts have helped Russia reduce its reliance on Western countries and strengthen its position in the global economy. Another important part of Putin's foreign policy has been expanding Russia's influence in the Middle East. He has supported leaders in countries like Syria, helping them stay in power through difficult times. This involvement has made Russia a powerful player in the region and given Putin the ability to negotiate with Western leaders from a position of strength. In today's world, conflicts aren't just fought with weapons. Technology now plays a central role. Putin understands this better than most. Under his leadership, Russia has made major investments in cyber technology. Russian hackers are now considered among the most skilled in the world. This has given Russia a new kind of influence, one that doesn't rely on troops or tanks. Instead, it allows the country to affect global events quietly and from a distance. For instance, there have been multiple allegations that Russian hackers interfered in foreign elections. While these claims remain controversial, they highlight how modern power extends far beyond traditional warfare. While the accusations about foreign election interference remain controversial, they highlight just how much influence Putin has gained through the power of modern technology. One of Putin's most significant achievements has been restoring a sense of pride among Russian citizens. After the fall of the Soviet Union, many people in Russia felt ashamed and disheartened. They believed their country had lost its strength, dignity, and global respect. Putin set out to change that mindset. He launched massive national projects that celebrated Russian history, culture, and achievements. Military parades returned to full scale, new museums were built, and laws were passed to protect and promote the Russian language. Putin often says, "A nation that forgets its history has no future," and this belief has guided many of his policies. His efforts inspired millions of Russians to feel proud of their country once again. Putin is also known for his strict personal discipline, especially when it comes to health and fitness. He begins each day with a healthy breakfast, often including quail eggs, cottage cheese, and fresh juice. After breakfast, he swims for about an hour and follows up with a workout in the gym. This routine helps him stay focused, fit, and energized. Sometimes, during official visits, Putin is seen driving modest, Russian-made cars. This is part of the image he cultivates, a leader who understands and relates to the everyday struggles of ordinary citizens. One of his boldest initiatives was the creation of the Eurasian Economic Union, EIU, an alliance that includes countries like Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Armenia. The EAU promotes free trade among its members, strengthens regional economies, and reduces dependence on Western markets. Putin's long-term vision is to build a powerful economic bloc where Russia leads the way, offering alternatives to Western institutions. This move has expanded Russia's influence across Central Asia and beyond, further solidifying his reputation as a strategic and visionary leader. Even as he pushes modernization, Putin remains deeply committed to protecting traditional Russian values. He believes these values are unique and should not be shaped by Western ideologies. For example, he has taken strong positions on religion, family, and education. He openly supports the Russian Orthodox Church, calling it a vital part of the nation's heritage. This has won him support among conservative and religious groups, although it has also sparked debates about the separation of church and state. Putin's long stay in power is a testament to his adaptability. Over the years, he has faced economic crises, political scandals, and international isolation. Yet, time and again, he has managed to navigate these challenges and remain in control. One of the key reasons for his continued popularity is his ability to connect with everyday Russians. Every year, he hosts a live event called Direct Line with Putin, where citizens from across the country can ask him questions directly, on television and online. This annual Q&A showcases him not just as a distant political figure, but as a leader who listens and responds to the concerns of his people. As his time in leadership continues, Putin's legacy grows more complex. Some see him as the man who rescued Russia from chaos and restored its national pride. Others see him as a controversial figure, admired for his strength and strategy, but criticized for taking bold and sometimes risky actions. No matter what opinions people hold about his actions, one thing is undeniable. Vladimir Putin's life is a powerful story of resilience, determination, and long-term vision. His journey, from a humble, challenging childhood to leading one of the world's most powerful nations, is truly extraordinary. As we near what could be the final chapters of his leadership story, what stands out most is the legacy he is shaping, one that will be studied, debated, and remembered for generations. Whether admired or criticized, Putin's life is a testament to how persistence, intelligence, and strategic thinking can alter the course of history. One of the keys to Putin's long-standing success is his ability to adapt. He's not a leader who sticks rigidly to one path. Instead, he constantly evaluates the global landscape, learns from it, and adjusts his approach accordingly. This flexibility has allowed him to remain in power for more than 2 decades. In an interview, Putin once said, "Leadership isn't about holding on to power, it's about staying relevant." This perspective has guided much of his policymaking and shaped his leadership style. He understands that for Russia to remain strong, it must adapt to a changing world, while still preserving its national identity and cultural heritage. Putin's ambitions extend beyond just strengthening Russia. He envisions a multipolar world, one where no single nation holds all the power. He believes smaller and emerging nations should have a voice on the global stage, and he works to challenge dominant powers that seek to control international affairs. To bring this vision to life, Putin has focused on forming strategic alliances. Under his leadership, Russia has built closer ties with countries like China, India, and many African nations. He has offered support to countries facing pressure from the West, providing them with trade agreements and even military assistance. These moves have helped expand Russia's global influence and strengthen its role as a key player in world politics. Politics is often compared to a game of chess, and in that game, Putin is seen as a grandmaster. He doesn't act impulsively. Every move he makes is carefully calculated, whether he's brokering a peace agreement, handling criticism, or responding to international pressure. One of his most iconic moments came at a major global summit, where several powerful world leaders attempted to confront him with tough accusations. Rather than react emotionally or defensively, Putin stayed calm, responded with facts, and managed to turn the situation in his favor. His ability to remain composed under pressure is one of the qualities that sets him apart, a skill that many aspiring leaders could learn from. As he once said, emotions are a luxury in politics. Putin knows his time as president won't last forever. That's why he has spent years building a foundation that he hopes will secure Russia's strength for generations to come. He's put a major emphasis on innovation and technology, urging young Russians to pursue careers in science, engineering, and research. In his view, the future belongs to nations that lead in innovation and technological advancement. In education, his administration has worked to improve access for students in rural and underserved areas. Putin frequently visits schools and universities to speak with students and encourage them to aim high and think big. In healthcare, significant investments have been made under his leadership. New hospitals have been built, especially in remote parts of the country, and access to medical services has improved for millions of Russians. Putin's message to his people has always been clear. The strength of a nation comes from its unity, its values, and its ability to prepare for the future. While opinions on his leadership may differ widely, the impact of his decisions, both domestically and internationally, is undeniable. His story is one of ambition, adaptability, and influence. Whether you see him as a reformer, a strategist, or a symbol of power, Vladimir Putin has left a deep mark on Russia and the world. Putin's message to the people has always been simple. Russia's true strength lies in its people. If you invest in them, the nation will flourish. Being a leader is never easy, and Putin's life is living proof of that. Throughout his career, he has faced constant criticism, both within Russia and from the international community. His decisions, policies, and leadership style are often the subject of heated debate. Yet, despite the pressure, Putin rarely lets outside opinions shake him. He once said, "If you try to please everyone, you'll lose yourself." In his view, a real leader must hold firm to their beliefs, even when the world pushes back. This principle has helped him navigate some of the most difficult moments of his presidency, whether dealing with economic sanctions, international conflicts, or political opposition. Through it all, Putin has shown that perseverance and mental toughness are essential traits of leadership. What makes Vladimir Putin so intriguing isn't just his politics, it's also the person behind the position. He has a strong love for adventure and thrives on challenges. From horseback riding through the Siberian wilderness, diving into deep waters, to piloting aircraft, Putin's hobbies reflect his fearless spirit and desire to push boundaries. Beyond his physical pursuits, Putin is also intellectually curious. He is known to read extensively, with a deep interest in history, global politics, and military strategy. He believes that knowledge is the most powerful weapon a leader can possess. As we reflect on Vladimir Putin's story, there are key lessons we can all take from his journey. Resilience matters. Life will always present obstacles, but those who stay strong and adapt can overcome almost anything. Think strategically. Don't rush into decisions. Take the time to study, understand, and plan your next move carefully. Be true to your principles. Leadership isn't about trying to please everyone. It's about knowing what you believe in and standing your ground. Invest in growth. Whether it's personal development or helping others grow, continuous improvement is the path to success. Vladimir Putin's path, from a cramped communal apartment in Leningrad to commanding the global stage, is a story of vision, grit, and unwavering focus. His life reminds us that greatness isn't determined by where you begin, but by how far you're willing to go. And as we close this incredible journey, remember this: your future is in your hands. If you dream big, work hard, and stay focused, there is no limit to what you can achieve.